Today's hearing will consider threats to U.S. Homeland from terrorists, from cyber attackers, from homegrown extremists, and from lone wolf offenders. The objective of this hearing is for this committee to gain a better understanding of how these threats have evolved over the past year, and if our national security agencies are keeping up with these ever-changing threats. I'd add another purpose for these hearings is to find out what we need to be doing on the legislative side to better enable you to keep up with these ever-changing threats. As we know, 12 years ago, our country's sense of security was upended when al-Qaeda launched the most significant attack on U.S. soil since Pearl Harbor. In the years since that tragic day, we have made significant progress in combating the terrorist threat to our homeland. And on behalf of this entire committee, I want to express our thanks from the American people for the very, very good work that has been done, continues to be done, to try to make sure that we stay safe in a very dangerous world. Our aviation system is more secure. Our borders are stronger. Our government agencies share more terrorist intelligence than ever before. Our first responders are better prepared to deal with disasters and terrorist attacks. Americans are safer because of these efforts. And while we've made great strides, our system for preventing terrorist attacks is not perfect. And as Dr. Carper knows, one of my guiding principles is if it isn't perfect, make it better. This is not a time to rest on our laurels. This is a time to not take a victory lap. This is a time to thank those that are working hard to make us safe, keep us safe, and let's continue to work hard and work smarter. In this spirit, this committee will continue its work to improve America's defenses against terrorism and other threats. Part of this process means understanding that the threat is also evolving. If we're to make America safer from these threats and secure our homeland, we must do a better job of anticipating those evolving threats. We do a good job at fighting the last war, but to secure the homeland, we must be better at anticipating the next war. We know that the threats from al-Qaeda has changed over the past decade, and we're now dealing with a number of splinter groups, including al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, which was responsible for the Christmas Day attack in 2009, and which continues its efforts to attack us to this day. And we know that American citizens, as well as Canadian and European nationals, have taken up arms in Syria, in Yemen, and in Somalia. The threat that these individuals could return home to carry out attacks is real and troubling. Even as our borders and ports of entry have become more secure, there are still those within our borders who have become radicalized by online al-Qaeda propaganda and seek to carry out their own attacks against the United States. And there are other threats to our domestic security, unrelated to al-Qaeda, which we must be prepared to address. As the September attack on the Washington Navy Yard and the shooting at the Los Angeles airport just 2 weeks ago demonstrate, there are a variety of threats to federal personnel and federal facilities that we must be prepared to defend against. However, nowhere is the need to prepare for the next attack more pressing than in the cybersecurity realm. In the words of your predecessor, Director Comey, Bob Mueller, cyber threats may, and these are his words, equal or surpass the threat of terrorism in the foreseeable future. With a few keystrokes, hackers can shut down our electric grid. They can release dangerous chemicals into our air that we breathe. They can disrupt our financial markets. And now more than ever, we must come together to pass cybersecurity legislation that strengthens our defenses against these cyber threats and others. The threat is too great, potential consequences too severe to do nothing. Today's hearing will explore these threats as well as others. Today we'll hear testimony from the leaders of the Department of Homeland Security, from the National Counterterrorism Center, and from the Federal Bureau of Investigation about the greatest dangers to the homeland and the steps that their agencies, their colleagues, are taking to further secure our country. The findings from today's hearing will help continue our process of recalibrating our homeland defenses to address our current threats, as well as prepare for tomorrow's threats. It will also help to ensure that we have a government in place that can connect the dots before terror comes calling to our shores. I look forward to hearing from we look forward to hearing from each of our witnesses, and the committee's members of our committee do as well, as we seek to defeat those threats and keep our countrymen and women safe from those who wish to do us harm.